I'm Dr. Manuel Astruc. I'm a board-certified psychiatrist. I help entrepreneurs who are suffering from depression get back to being energetic, productive, and very confident. I don't want you to be working on your resiliency. So resiliency is your ability to bounce back when you're put under stress. I really want you to be thinking in terms of another concept, which is called antifragility. And being anti-fragile means that when you're put under stress and you bounce back, you don't just bounce back to your baseline, but you come back stronger. And the term was first used by a writer, Nassim Taleb, I think is the pronunciation of his name. But being anti-fragile is sort of like going to the gym. You don't go to the gym and work out and expect to be exactly the same as you were. You want to go to the gym and come out, more fit, stronger, being better able to handle life. So the concept of being anti-fragile, I think, for me, was a game changer. There's a book that has just come out by Daniel Pink called Regret, and there's a whole subtitle to it. But the book Regret, what it looks at is the fact that, our negative experiences can be used to help us live a better life. Many times, with the positive psychology movement, what we're working on is just being happy and suppressing negative emotions and avoiding those. And negative emotions, negative experiences are incredibly important. They teach us stuff, right? So for any entrepreneur who's out there, failure is only failure if you're not learning from it. And regrets become a problem if you're just wallowing in them and not moving forward. But when you're using them to shape your decision making in terms of what you want your life to look like down the road, I'm not going to do that again because I learned that causes regret. Instead, I'm going to handle life in a different way. That's where we're not just being resilient, but we're learning from our experiences and coming back stronger. Life on planet Earth has built-in hardships, right? On a planet with gravity, we're going to take our lumps, we're going to fall. And suffering is built into the equation of life. There's no way to avoid that. So even for a child who's born into a family that's incredibly attentive, they're going to have moments of being hungry, of being cold, of being wet. Frustrations, pain, suffering is built into the fabric of life. And the task at hand then is to be able to integrate that into our awareness and to get stronger as a result of what we face so that we're getting stronger and more resilient and anti-fragile, bouncing back stronger than we were before as we face adversity. A story I love to tell comes from Jim Collins in his book, Good to Great. He talks about the concept of the Stockdale paradox. So Stockdale was the highest ranking United States military person in the Vietnam War who was captured by the Vietnamese. He was in the Air Force. His plane was shot down. And he was a prisoner of war for something like 7 years in the largest prisoner of war camp that they had. As the highest ranking officer, he was in charge of all the men. And when he came out, after all that time, he actually ran for vice president with Ross Perot many years ago, but he was a hero. And people came to him to ask, what did he do to help hold up morale with the men? And the story he tells is that there was, kind of two groups of individuals he was dealing with. There were the people who were very optimistic, very positive, right? The positive psychology, like we're going to get rescued. It's going to be like right around the corner. It's going to be by Christmas time we'll be rescued, and Christmas would come and go, and they wouldn't be rescued. Then it would be by Easter we'll be rescued. By the 4th of July we'll be rescued. And over time, these optimists, he said, they would crumble. They would fall apart. They would have the hardest time. And then there were the pessimists who were just, this sucks, it's awful, there is nothing good, and nothing good can happen here. And what he said was that he needed to blend the two. So the first lesson for people was brutal reality. You're in a prisoner of war camp. There's nothing good happening here. This sucks. This is going to suck, and this is going to be painful, and some of us are not going to make it. So we start with brutal realities of life. Validate that. It is how it is. And then you can work on your mindset, you can work on being optimistic, you can look at the things that you can control, you can look at your attitude, but you've got to get that in the right order. First validate brutal reality, then work on those things that you can control. And when we can't control that outside environment, what we have to do is work on controlling ourselves, changing ourselves, growing and getting anti-fragile. Too many times what we're dealing with is a society that wants to make things easier, less friction, and what we value is ease. And one of the challenges in today's world is that when the struggle is taken away from us, when the struggle to survive is no longer there, what else is left for us? Watching Netflix is fun, and there's some great content there, but it's not a very meaningful life in which we can flourish if there's not struggle for us to have to contend with and help us to continue to grow and to change. Getting out of your comfort zone is important. Many times, 4% to 6% out of your comfort zone is all that you need to keep learning, growing, being resilient, being anti-fragile. And the struggle is that barrier between what's in your comfort zone and what's right outside of your comfort zone is daunting. But that daunting barrier, what some people call the resistance. Stephen Pressfield wrote a book that's an awesome book, very short read, highly recommended, The War of Art. He talks about the resistance. The resistance is that piece of our brain that keeps us from achieving our goals, so pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone. When you're trying to get into flow, there's a natural hesitation to sit down and do that work. But if you overcome that, you find that it's paper thin. It's really pretty easy to push down. You put yourself down and you just do the work, be a pro, and living more of your life outside of your comfort zone, 4%, 6%, doesn't have to be that much, is one of the most effective ways to build up resiliency and really becoming anti-fragile. One of the practices that I took up years ago was my cold morning shower. So the story is, I listened to a podcast with Tim Ferriss where he interviewed a gentleman, Wim Hof, from Poland, who's the Iceman. And he was like the happiest individual that I have ever heard. Incredibly positive, just jolly, loving life. And one of the things that he talks about is getting out of your comfort zone, that our bodies were designed to be cold, to be hot, to be stressed. And what he has learned to do is to use cold water as getting out of his comfort zone. And I thought I'd try it. I hate cold water. This was, well over 5 years ago. Every day, I have a cold shower in the morning. I'm never looking forward to it, but it's gotten to the point where there's a resistance, a natural hesitation. I don't want to do this. If I step through it, it's never that bad. The image, the expectation that my brain has in terms of how bad it's going to be, it's gotten to the point that no matter how cold that water is in the morning, it's not that big a deal. That's the resistance, and that's becoming resilient and anti-fragile.